Freedom in Malaysia has been under the spotlight recently with a string of disputes involving the country's non-Muslim minorities. The most high profile is that of Siti Fatima. She was born a Muslim, but she married a Hindu man out of love. She calls herself Ravasi, a Hindu name, and together the couple have a 15-month-old baby girl. But because she was living as a Hindu, Siti has been accused of apostasy or deserting her religion. She's been detained at a rehabilitation centre and her baby has been taken away. Her husband Suresh, who's banned from seeing both his wife and child, spoke to everyone about the battle to win back his family.
My
name is Suresh Veerapan. I'm a Hindu. My wife's name is Revati and my daughter's name is Aljazeera. I married Revati in 2004 on the 10th of March. Ours was a love marriage. We went to the Hindu temple, got married according to Hindu tradition at the time the nuptials train. After a year, we had our daughter, Divya Darshini.
Their happiness was short-lived. Trouble started as soon as they tried to get a birth certificate for Divya. Revati's given Muslim name, Siti Fatima, and Suresh's Hindu name aroused suspicion. Malaysian law does not recognize a marriage between a Muslim and a non-Muslim unless the non-Muslim partner converts. But in this case, it was Revati who declared that she had followed her husband's faith.
The Sharia court ordered her to be detained for 100 days at the Uduyam Rehabilitation Center. My heart is torn. After all, she's not a Muslim. She's only Muslim by name, but she has been living as a Hindu.
Suresh has not seen his wife or child for almost a month. Revati's Muslim parents, who did not approve of their daughter's liaisons with a Hindu man, had sought a Sharia court order to take custody of their child while their daughter was in detention.
Saya akan betulkan anak Islam.
I will make her a Muslim child. That's why I took her, to correct her upbringing. After all, her mother has no choice. Her mother cannot leave this religion anyway.
Revati was still nursing her child when she was detained. At first, Suresh was allowed to see her, but his visits were subsequently denied. Despite that, Suresh still makes a 3-hour drive from Malacca, hoping that he could persuade the guard to allow him to see Revati. This time, Aljazeera followed him.
I don't have permission. They say I'm a Hindu, and I cannot be with a Muslim girl. They say, she's a Muslim, you are a Hindu. How can you prove that she's your wife?
The Uduyam Islamic Rehabilitation Center is an institution to correct wayward Muslims. According to its website, apostates, religious deviants, and women pregnant with a child of non-Muslim fathers are sent here.
There can be very little doubt, in my view, that the Constitution allows to all persons, including Muslims, freedom of conscience. The Constitution is quite clear in Article 11, Clause 1. Every person has the right to profess and practice his religion. Arresting people for their religious beliefs, besides being a violation of Article 11, freedom of religion, would be a violation of their personal liberty.
Dr. Shah Faruqi is a constitutional lawyer whose views have struck resonance with the growing movement called Article 11. But the government has been careful not to support Article 11 for fear of inflaming Muslim sentiments. Religious advisor Ulama Harisani Zakaria defends the laws on apostasy.
In the law, Islamic law, there is a part grade for apostasy. And apostasy is the sentence of death. In Malaysia, we don't have any law for that. We are asking the government to have a law just to prevent people from becoming apostate. When we say a Malay is a Muslim, that is what in the Constitution. So when we allow all these things, then we finish. The Malays will finish already.
I asked for a good decision by the Sharia court, so I can be with my wife and kids like before.
Julian on with that report, and every woman has just learned that Ravati's detention has been increased by another 80 days because the Sharia court doesn't believe that she has rehabilitated or repented. Well, let me introduce you to our guests. Joining us from Kuala Lumpur is Zaina Anwar from Sisters in Islam and Farid Sufian Shoaib, law lecturer at Malaysia's International Islamic University. Farid, if I can come to you first. Most non-Muslims will be shocked that something like that can happen to a woman who just chooses not to follow Islam anymore. Why is it seen as such a crime?
Well, the Quran said that apostasy is a serious crime in Islam. When you believe in Allah, it is a serious crime to convert out of Islam. Okay,
Zaina, there have been a number of disputes involving Muslims and non-Muslims. Is that straining the relationship between different ethnic groups in Malaysia?
Of course it is, and the concern is just not among non-Muslims only. Many Muslims are also shocked at what is happening, and the case of Revati really clearly shows what happens in real life, human lives, when you force someone to believe when he or she does not believe, and you believe and you feel that it is a crime for a Muslim not to believe. And so, what do? You take her and you put her in a rehabilitation camp and detain her without trial. You deprive her of her liberty, you deprive her of her child, you deprive her of her husband, you deprive her of her right to a family.
Farid, what about the assertion that the Constitution of Malaysia enshrines the right of freedom of religion? This seems to go against the Constitution.
You cannot look at the provision for freedom of religion in isolation. If you look the Constitution as a whole, you come to a conclusion that the Constitution allows for Muslims to regulate themselves.
You're obviously a legal expert, but there does seem to be a conflict in Malaysia between the Sharia system for Muslims and the civil system for non-Muslims. You've got two separate systems running at the same time.
Yes, that's correct. Because of the Federal Constitution allows that to be so. You have to consider the history of Malaysia, where Islam has been applied in Malaysia before the coming of the colonial powers, the British and so on. So the Constitution recognized the existence, the administration of Islamic law.
Zaina, what do you want to say?
The Constitution is a very finely crafted document to serve the competing interests of different ethnic groups and religious groups in the country. And so the Constitution recognizes that the Constitution recognizes that the right that Islam, the Sharia court, can prevail only on those who profess the religion of Islam.
Let me put that to Farid. Farid, what do you make of that argument?
I think first we need to set the record straight regarding the case in our discussion. The facts are contentious. Is it true that Revati had been brought up as a non-Muslim? I think the sources that are close to the case seem to say otherwise, that she was brought up as a Muslim. So that I leave it at that, because it is contentious.
What do you think will be the outcome of the case for Revati and Suresh?
Right. Okay. What I'm saying now is that we have a person who on the face of it is a Muslim. Let the Sharia court determine the status of that person, because on the face of it she is a Muslim and there is no marriage taking place. not according to Islam, not according to law for non-Muslim, namely Law Reform Marriage and Divorce Act. So let the Sharia court decide on her status.
Well, the debate continues, but we do know that a mother and a child have been separated. Farid Sufi and Shuaib and Zaina Anwar speaking to us from Kuala Lumpur. Thank you very much for joining us on Every Woman. Now, when we come back, is laughter the best medicine to heal all